Hi everyone and welcome to my November book haul slash wrap up. First I'm gonna start with the books that I read this month. There aren't as many as usual, or at least not as many as I read last month, which were about 8 books I think, but I couldn't make a video because I was ill way into November and then I was busy with NanoWriMo, so I just didn't make a video. But I am going to put up a videos very soon explaining why I haven't put up my Goodreads account yet in the links below, because I do actually have a Goodreads account, and then I'm going to put a link to my Goodreads account in there, so if you're really curious and you really want to know, you can always look it up then. The first book I read was Doll Bones by Holly Black. I didn't really have any expectations going into this book except that I thought the cover looked amazing and I expected it to be a little bit creepy, so I guess I did have expectations. I read it really fast. It's a really cute book. It actually made me want to write a lot because the main characters are 3 kids and they have this story that they play with their action figures and dolls and everything, and they get really into it. And there is this one doll, Eleanor, which they call the Queen, and she rules everything in their make-believe land. And it's this creepy-ass doll on the cover. Not sure if you can see her. She's pretty creepy. And one of the kids, called Poppy, the doll is actually her mother's doll. She bought it at an auction, I think, or a secondhand store somewhere. She's convinced that the doll hosts the ghost of a girl that was either murdered or died, they're unsure, and she is sending them on a quest to bury the doll so that she can have a proper burial. And they go on this big adventure to try and do that, and it's really funny. It's really well written. It's not as spooky or scary as I thought it would be. It's probably, I think it's a kid's book, so that's probably why. But if you didn't pick this up because you were afraid it was gonna be too scary or anything like that, don't worry. It's a bit creepy, but it's good creepy, and it's really worth reading. Next up is The Land of Stories, the first book in the series called The Wishing Spell by Chris Culver. This is a book that I had for a while. It really appealed to me. I like the cover of the fairy tale land and the 2 kids fall into it, and I like the idea of a land of stories, so I kind of bought it without really knowing what it was about, which is something I do a lot actually. Sometimes I just pick up a book because I like the cover or the title. I'm one of those people, I definitely judge a book by its cover. Unless I really like text on the back or someone recommended it to me, then of course it doesn't matter what the cover looks like. But it's about these twins that fall into the fairy tale book that the grandma gave them. And they meet all the characters of their favorite stories like Cinderella and Little Red Riding Hood, and see what happened to them after their happily ever afters. And they have to try and find all these ingredients for a wishing spell so that they can get back to their own land where they came from, to their own world. And it's a really good read. I read it pretty fast and it's funny, it's well written, and it's a fast read, and I really recommend it. The third book I read was Playing with the Grown-Ups by Sophie Dahl. I picked up this book because, again, I thought the cover was really pretty, and then I saw that she was the granddaughter of Roald Dahl, and I love his books. I guess because of the cover, which is kind of fairy-like, and because of who she is, or actually who her grandfather is, I kind of had different expectations when reading this book, which doesn't really make sense because it's right here on the back what it's about, and I did read it when I bought the book this time. And it's just a contemporary novel. So in the beginning I was kind of like, I'm not quite sure if I like this. But I actually ended up really liking it, and I read it in about a day or 2. It's basically a story about this girl Kitty and how she grows up and how she deals with her mother, who throws herself into one thing then the next and moves them and everything, and how she gets into trouble and gets out of it again. And I just thought it was really interesting to read, and I really liked it. It's not one of my favorite books of all time, but it was fun to read. The last book I read was The War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. I actually want to read this book for ages now because I used to be obsessed with the musical, the CD of the musical when I was little. I believe so little that I even couldn't understand everything they were saying because they were kind of singing it and my English wasn't good enough yet. But I really adored it, and Then when the movie came out with Tom Cruise, I really liked that too. I was pretty young back then, so I thought it was really scary. And I've been meaning to read this book for ages, but it's just one of those classics that I'll come to eventually. In a couple of days actually, I think the 18th or the 16th of... I believe it's the 18th of December, I'm not sure, but in like 2 weeks or so, I'll be going to Amsterdam and seeing the live performance with one of my favorite YouTubers of all time, Carrie Fletcher from It's Way Past My Bedtime. And if you haven't heard of her yet, I'll leave a link in the description because she's amazing and you should really watch her channel. And I can't wait to see the musical. I'm really excited, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity to read the book first. That's all I read this month. I was pretty busy with NanoWriMo and with being ill and with a million other things. And hopefully I'll be able to read more next month because there's so many books I'm still dying to read. So I can't wait. And I'll probably get a lot of books for Christmas as well, and I'm really excited for that. I did order a couple of books this month. I didn't buy any in the stores, but none of them have come in yet except for this one. A version of The Hobbit. And I already have 2 other versions of The Hobbit. I'll show them to you in a minute. But I thought this one was just so beautiful. And I saw it the first time in a store in Portsmouth. And I saw the whole series. And I just wanted to buy them right away. But I couldn't because I only had hand luggage. Because you had to pay for big suitcases on the plane. And I was only gonna stay there for a week to visit a friend. So I didn't buy them. And they've been on my mind for ages since, especially the Lord of the Rings ones, because if you line them up they create the Tree of Gondor, and I thought that was so cool. So I ordered this one, I ordered the second and the third book, and I haven't been able to find the first book yet, so if anyone knows where you can find it, please let me know, but I'm sure I'll be able to find it eventually. So with the Hobbit books I have 3 versions. The first version is this one. Just a simple paperback that was in a box with the Lord of the Rings books. This is the book where I first read the story in, and I still think it's pretty. It has a pretty cover, but I just couldn't leave the other ones alone. And actually, now that I think about it, I have 4 versions, because I also bought a set of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit in Dutch, because it was around the time that I read a lot of English books, but I still also read some Dutch books. I don't really read Dutch books anymore, sometimes, but almost never. And I found The Hobbit quite difficult to read back then, so I switched to Dutch, and I found it even harder to read, so I switched back to English in the end and read this one. The Dutch one is also really pretty and it's sparkly, but I can't show it to you because it's somewhere in the box because I don't read them anymore, but I couldn't bring myself to throw them away or even give them away. I'm really bad that way with books, I just really want to keep them all. The second version of The Hobbit is this leather-bound version, and I am a sucker for leather-bound books and any books that look old-fashioned. It has gold here on the pages, gold cut, and it has the cool illustrations in it. I don't think the paperback had those, and it's just so pretty and it's small, and I saw it at the Yale Fantasy Fair at the book stand, and I couldn't bring myself not to buy it, so I just had to buy it then, and that's copy number 3. And then of course the last one, so I have 3 here and 1 more somewhere in storage, and I love all of them. This isn't really book related, but because I only bought 1 book and it isn't much of a haul, I thought I'd show you 2 other things that I bought this month that I think are really cool, and I hope you like them. They're kind of book related, there's books about them. First thing I ordered online is this statue, this bust of Anakin Skywalker. Let's see if it's focused, yeah. And he looks so cool. I thought he looked really realistic. I like that he has 2 lightsabers, one for the dark side, one for the light side. And Anakin is one of my favorite characters of all time. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I especially like this Anakin, and so I thought this little statue was really cool. The second thing I bought is also a bust and also a statue, and it's of Samwise Gamgee. I'm not sure if you focus. Wait, hang on a second. There we are. Nope. Yes, focus. He looks kind of sad. and kind of shocked actually from this angle, but I thought it was a pretty cool bust, and it was only 30 euros, which for some of you may seem like a lot, but it's actually not that much for one of these statues. And especially from this angle, it's pretty good. And Samwise is one of my all-time favorite characters of the Lord of the Rings. I love his speeches, I love his optimism, how he is actually kind of the hero, and everyone just forgets about him, and they're all about, oh, Frodo did it, and oh yeah, Sam was there too. When Frodo couldn't have done it without Sam. I love Frodo as well, by the way, but he's one of my favorite characters, and I didn't have a bust of him yet. I also have a statue of Legolas and Elrond, and one of Doctor Who. I have one of Captain Jack Sparrow. I have a lot of these things and bigger statues, and my collection is only growing. It isn't as if I didn't have enough space issues already with my thousands of books. Okay, hundreds, but still, with all my books, I had to have another hobby as well that takes up a lot of space. This video was supposed to be really short because I didn't have anything to show you, but I think it might actually be a bit long, so sorry for that. I really hope you did like this video, and tell me what you were reading and what movies you like, and anything really down in the comments that you want me to know. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up, I really like that. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, then please do, if you want to see more videos from me. And if you also happen to go to the War of the Worlds show in Amsterdam, let me know, and maybe I'll see you there. Tot ziens!